Welcome to the Office Instructor channel. In this video, we want to create a dynamic multiplication table which highlights the product of multiplication of two values from two input cells. First, we'll build our table. In a new sheet, select cell B5, type 1, Control Enter, point to the fill handle, click and drag while pressing Control up to 15. This is called the autofill property in cell A6. We'll do the same, Control Enter, click and drag without pressing Control. And this is not what we want. So we point to the Option Smart Tag and select Fill Series. That's okay. Let's add a dark reddish fill color for this range, a bluish fill color for the other range, and then select both ranges while by pressing Ctrl to select non-contiguous ranges. Change the font color to white, font size to 12, and here we go. Select F3, we'll add titles to the input cells, vertical, and then in cell I3 we'll type horizontal. Then we'll copy the format for these two titles using the format painter, and we'll copy the format for the other one using the format painter. Then we'll add a title, dynamic multiplication table. We want to format this also. We'll make it 14, font type, change it to brush script. I like this one. Then the font color to blue and make it bold, and that's okay. We want then to center this title across the table. Don't use the merge and center button on the home tab. It might cause a lot of problems in case you want to insert or delete a column, in case you want to copy formulas or use pivot tables. As an alternative, you can right click and select format cell, or the shortcut is Ctrl 1. From the alignment tab, the horizontal alignment, select center across selection, and this is just fine. We'll then add some borders. We'll select these two ranges, and from the home tab, the borders button, thick outer border. We want to remove the grid. We go to the view tab and uncheck the grid. Then we select the whole range, and we'll add all borders to the results section of the multiplication table. Now we want to add values to our input cells, and we want to be able to pick these values from a drop list, and this is called data validation. I select the first cell, go to the data tab, data validation, select list, and then from the source I go and select the whole range of vertical input values. That's it. Check our range, it's just fine. Then do the same here. The shortcut is Alt DL. Select list, and for the source we select the horizontal range or the top row. Check. It's okay. We are now ready to enter our simple formula. We want each cell in this table to show the product of multiplication of the cell in the top row and the cell in the leftmost column. For instance, for this cell here, we'll type equal this cell up times this cell here. Press enter, and that's it. We'll delete this value, and I want to show you an alternative to having to copy formulas down and over by highlighting the whole range up front, and then if we enter our formula in the active cell, which is light colored, using mixed cell reference, and then we press Ctrl Enter, it will populate all cells. Let's start entering our formula. We'll type an equal sign, equal B5 for this cell here. We want the result of B5 and times A6. This is called relative cell reference. When we copy this formula to the adjacent cells, the cell reference will change relatively to the new position. So for each cell reference, we have to ask two questions. When we copy this formula from left to right across the columns, do we want B5 to change to C5, D5, and so on? Yes. When the second question is, when we copy this formula downward, do we want B5 to change to B6, B7, and so on? Of course, no. So we have to lock it across the rows. And the secret code for locking the cell reference is F4. We press F4 once, and we press it a second time. For the second cell reference, do we want A6 to change when we copy it downwards to A7 and so on? Of course, yes, because it picks the input value from column A. But when we copy it across the columns, do we want to change to B6, C6, and so on? Of course, no. So we have to lock it across the columns by pressing F4 4 times. Our formula is now set correctly. We press Ctrl Enter, and it populates all the cells. Let's go to the farthest diagonal cell. Press F2 to turn it into edit mode. It says P5 times A25, and it got it just right. Press Escape. Well, now we want to apply a conditional format, so Excel highlights only a single cell from the whole range. This cell meets two conditions. The first condition is that the cell in the top row equals the horizontal input cell, and the cell in the leftmost column, the row header, equals the vertical input cell. This is called conditional format. Using a formula, we select the whole range. But remember, conditional format using a formula stores the formula in memory, not in the cells. And then on the Home tab, select Conditional Format, New Rule, use a formula. Since we are applying two conditions, we'll enclose both conditions in an AND formula. Equal, and, open parenthesis. The first condition from the point of view of the active cell, we want this cell here locked across the column, equal the vertical input cell, comma, the second condition, this cell here locked across the rows, equals the horizontal input cell, close parenthesis, and then we select a format, purple fill color, white font color, and make it bold. Click OK, click OK. Let's check our rule. Select 5, and from the horizontal input cell select 7, and sure enough, it's working just fine. Since these are dynamic validation lists, whenever we change the cells in the top row, the drop list for the horizontal input cells will update. And whenever we change the cells in column A, the values in column A, drop list will also update. Okay, thank you for watching and see you next video.